Time to spotlight AT&T's big outage last week. I'd like to welcome in our guest, Hugh Odom, cellular industry veteran, former AT&T attorney, founder and president of Vertical Consultants. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Tell us a little bit. I mean, I read, they call it a massive network outage. The CEO saying we fell short. Is it fair to call it a massive network outage? Tell me what happened, and why do I also see Verizon and T-Mobile had some sort of outage as well, but it looks like it's really an AT&T problem.
Sure. Well, this was a nationwide outage. It started late in the middle of the night, and AT&T is saying it's a software update that was a criminal that caused all the issues there, which is somewhat suspect. Those software updates usually happen at night because there's less people on the network. But it took them almost 12 hours to identify the issue and solve it. So we just had an outage, which you usually see is maybe an outage just local or regional. This was nationwide, and that raised a lot of red flags. It could have been a cyber attack or other culprits out there. And what this did was just accumulate over and over. And they were talking about tens of thousands. We think it was hundreds of thousands, if not more, of AT&T customers that were impacted. Some other carriers, which were piggybacking off the AT&T network, also had issues. Verizon and T-Mobile reported some issues, but not as much as AT&T.
So it was really an AT&T problem, and there are now suspicions, but in this day and age, it would be a pure catastrophe to say it was something that it wasn't. I mean, they can't do that, can they? To say it was a software update and, and then it's not.
I don't think AT&T is trying to deceive the public. I just think they have two possibilities, and not one is better than the other. If it's an outside actor, they let somebody get into their system, which causes this outage across the country. If it's a software issue, they know when the software update is going to happen. Now it's an issue they don't know how to handle their own expansion of their network. That even looks worse upon them, in my opinion, because you can think somebody robbing the bank versus you losing the money. This is a bad situation for them. In comparison with the other carriers out there, T-Mobile and Verizon, they're just having issues keeping up in the 5G race, and this is not going to help in any way.
And look, AT&T has been battling the likes, particularly of T-Mobile, as 5G really came out. T-Mobile emerged as a leader versus AT&T. I know they've invested a lot in copper and broadband and wireless, everything. They've been investing a lot, but they've fallen short in this battle, right? But now they're talking about the expansion, the next wave. It's not 5G anymore. It's the next thing that happens in telecom. Where does AT&T stand in the pecking order?
Well, you're exactly right. T-Mobile has separated itself from both AT&T and Verizon. And that's just, I think that separation continues to grow. Their 5G, that being T-Mobile's 5G rollout, is far superior right now to AT&T, Verizon. And AT&T, more particularly, is just trying to play catch up. And this latest issue doesn't help in any way. They're trying to keep on building out the network. The problem is the infrastructure isn't there. It isn't there for any of the carriers. What I mean by that is cell towers out there. We need to build more. We're far behind the rest of the world with regards to build out of infrastructure. So you're trying to expand a network, but you don't have the infrastructure to support it. And AT&T is again falling behind. In addition, T-Mobile has partnered with companies like Starlink to provide satellite backup service, things like that, while AT&T, its backup service being landlines, they're trying to get rid of those, which is kind of looked at last week. Those landlines are a fail-safe if you lose wireless service in an area, and AT&T is trying to eliminate those.
As a former AT&T attorney, I'm sure it hurts you to see that the customers were subjected to this. AT&T well. They are offering $5 if you would like to sign up for that. I mean, I'm not sure if my time would be worth $5 to go and try and figure out how to get that. There could be lawsuits. People lost business. People lost this. People lost that. What is to come? What kind of liability stands ahead from this outage?
Well, this outage last week was just a glimpse of what could happen if you have a major nationwide issue like this, where you have wireless service go down. And you hit the nail on the head. You had personal communications, which is always important, but business communications, people couldn't transact business of all types. You had
Right.
emergency services that weren't working properly. So you're going to have some issues here with a reliance upon this wireless service. We believe wireless communications is the fourth utility. We depend upon it so much every day, from business to personal to emergency services, that if that's not up and running, a $5 rebate is not going to do you much good when you have a situation that you have to rely upon that fourth utility being that wireless communication.
Right. All right. So you didn't answer the question directly as a professional attorney would, and I don't blame you, because if I just lost $1 million on a deal because my phone didn't work, there could be a class action lawsuit. Who knows what could come? Someone died. They couldn't call 911. I don't know. Is this likely to happen again? How likely could it happen again, in your thoughts, very quickly?
Well, I think it's most likely it will happen again. The reason being is you're expanding the network so fast. I tell people that 5G is being promoted more than it's being implemented. So as you expand, you expose, and that's where you have these issues pop up. So unless we get the infrastructure built out, unless we get the networks built out properly, you're going to see this happen over and over.
Hugh Odom of Vertical Consultants. Thank you, Hugh. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming on to talk about this very big story. Thank you.